treatment. So last week, in an overwhelming bipartisan vote, the House passed Tim Murphy's bill providing for a complete overhaul of our mental health system. Third number, 500. Of the more than 10,000 known diseases, we only have treatments for 500 of them. 10,000 known diseases, we only have 500 treatments. So right now, the House and the Senate are working on legislation to make sure that we can deliver cutting-edge cures and treatments to patients. These are all great strides in healthcare. These ideas will save lives, and these ideas will keep families together. I know that gridlock tends to dominate our time and our energy, but we should not take away from the hard-won progress that is made every day. Of course, there's only so much that can be achieved in divided government. Which brings me to my last number, 71%. More than 7 out of 10 Americans think that the country is on the wrong path. Well, if you don't like the country, if you don't like the direction the country is going, there is a better way. And this better way is a bold agenda to take on some of the nation's biggest challenges. The way I look at this is, we are elected here to serve. We represent our constituents and their views. And when 7 out of 10 Americans do not like the path our country is on, we have a duty, an obligation, and an opportunity to offer a better agenda, a better way. We are offering a better plan to fight poverty. We're offering real national security strategy. We're offering a plan to grow our economy. We're offering a plan to restore self-government. We're offering real patient-centered health care and a plan to reform our tax code. We need a tax code that works for us, not against us. We can do these things. We can take a better way. And guess what? You can all learn more about this by going to better.gop. This is our duty, this is our obligation, and this is why we're doing this. Thank you. And questions? The person to the right of Luke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You have, the appropriations process hasn't gone as far as you would like. You have the privilege resolution. You had to pull back on the gun bill. So how are you in any different of a place than Speaker Boehner was?
I think we're doing fine. As far as the resolution, members told us what they're going to do. It expires in a couple of days. They know that. A lot of our members just aren't focused on this. They're not even, familiar with all the facts and the circumstances. So we're going to have a good conversation when we get back. And look, it's divided government. So on other bills that you mentioned, it's not easy to get things done when you don't have a lot of cooperation from the other party. Having said all of that, look at what we have accomplished. Look at what we've done on K-12 education reform, on transportation, on fixing our export control laws. Look at what we've just done on opioids. Look at what we've just done on mental illness reform. There's a lot that we've been doing. And in divided government, there's some things we just won't agree on, and then we will propose alternatives. Yeah.
Hi, I covered this morning's press conference with Representative Blackburn. She referred all funding questions on the Select Investigative Panel on Infant Lives to you. Has the House allocated or provided any additional taxpayer money beyond the nearly $800,000 that they've received from the House Administration Committee?
I would refer to House Administration because I don't know the answer to your question. We want this committee to keep doing its job, doing its work. They have a very important job to do. And by the way, I'm very proud of the fact that we passed the CPA, the Conscience Protection Act, this week. But I don't know the answer to the question that House Admin runs those books. Yeah. I don't know the answer to your question. Yeah.
Speaker Ryan, if you can't finish the appropriations process before the new fiscal year, would you prefer a continuing resolution into December and wrapping up work at year's end, or would you prefer going into March as the conservative House Freedom Caucus?
I'm not going to get any of those things. First of all, I don't want to give up the appropriations process. We have the Interior bill we just did. We just did financial services last week. We're going to pick up appropriations. So I just don't think it's right at this stage to say we're done with appropriations, we're going to move on. I want to get appropriations bills going. We're going to keep doing our work, and we're not going to foreclose any options. So we haven't made any decision. And as a family, we're going to discuss if we can't get all of our bills done, what's the best way to proceed? And that's something that we haven't even discussed yet. Chad.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. But that setback on the IRS Commissioner and the efforts by the Freedom Caucus here, I know it expires in a couple of days. They would probably try to reintroduce this, but get this to ripen over the August recess here. Isn't that the point, though, that there is disagreement between them and the approach by leadership, and that there is a schism there? It seems that
Not really.
You guys, explain why you aren't keen to impeach the IRS Commissioner. Something like that hasn't been done since the 1870s.
Chad, it's just something we haven't been focused on. I have been busy trying to get the opioid bill done, the mental illness bill done, getting our appropriation bills on the floor, getting ready for the Cures conference to work. So quite honestly, I haven't really focused on it, and it's something that a lot of our members haven't focused on. Some of these members have focused on this quite a bit. That's why they're bringing attention to the issue. When we return from our work period, we'll talk about it as a family. Manu.
Mr. Speaker, next week you're speaking at the Republican convention. I know you want to talk about House Republican ideas there, but will you also make an affirmative case for Donald Trump to be president?
I haven't even thought about my speech yet. I haven't even written it yet. So I've got to work on my speech starting this evening probably. So I'm going to go home, work on my speech. Haven't given a lot of consideration to what it's going to be. What I want to talk about is our ideas. I want to talk about the better way, what we're offering, and how we need to unify as a party. But quite honestly, I haven't even started working on it yet. So I've been a little focused on the session. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ben Siegel with ABC.
Thank you.
Looking back, it's been a couple months, given since the Zika virus became sort of an issue on Capitol Hill, and it looks like the Congress is leaving town without saying anything to the president. Looking back on the back and forth and how that's gone between Republicans and Democrats, I mean, what do you make of how this has gone?
They need to drop politics and pass the bill. We passed a perfectly responsible piece of legislation, the funding level that everyone agreed to, the contents of the bill that people think is wise. They wanted no offsets. We partially offset it with what I would call extremely vanilla offsets. The Democrats, for some reason or another, decided to play politics with it. They need to drop the politics and pass the bill so we can respond to this real need. Yeah, I'm going to print Tim's speech off and read it on the flight home today because I heard about it. I haven't seen it. I adore Tim Scott. He's one of my buddies around here. We became good friends when he was a House member. And I take everything he says very seriously. So I'm going to, number one, just read it because I really want to hear what he has to say. Number two, from my conversations with friends in the CBC, we decided to put together a working group, which I think it was released yesterday, was it not? We decided to put together a working group of bipartisan members chaired by Bob Goodlatte and John Conyers, and members of the CBC, and some of our members who have a lot of background in law enforcement, like Dave Reichert. What we want to do is have this working group sit down together and work to see where common ground can be had to address this issue, to address the issue of training, to address the issue of community policing, to address these very legitimate concerns and issues that I think we need to listen and learn instead of just starting to throw bombs at each other. That's what we want to see in this country, is we want to see things calm down. We want to see people listen to one another. There are different perspectives that we don't have that we can benefit from by listening. And that is what the kind of dynamic that we want to contribute to. And that is one of the reasons why we formed this working group of bipartisan members from different backgrounds, from different committees, to see where we can find common ground to be a part of the solution to this problem.
Last question.
Yeah.
Brian Remdown, Talk Media News. Mr. Speaker, it's been a year basically since the ink dried on the Iran deal. The White House continues to tout its merits, say it's going to make the world safer and whatnot. So does Secretary Kerry. Do you believe that, or do you think it basically amounts to appeasement?
I think it amounts to more than appeasement. I think it's a ridiculous agreement. I think they're overselling it. I think they're going beyond the agreement, and I think they're sending around the Secretary of State, basically like the head of the Chamber of Commerce for Iran. It seems quite ridiculous to me, and I don't think that we have already proven that this agreement, that they're not living up to their end of the bargain, and I think it was a big mistake.
Can I have last one?
Yes, you can. It was a pump fake. Yeah.
Two-part. What did you
Oh, might even make it a three-part. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you make of Ruth Bader Ginsburg's comments that she'd move to New Zealand if Donald Trump was president?
I mean, what about impartial judges here? I mean, what about impartial judges do we not get here? She very well may be involved in adjudicating cases coming from a President Trump. So it just goes to say that she ought to be impartial. And so remember Bush versus Gore? Pretty important case decided by the Supreme Court. So to have a Supreme Court justice make such comments, I think is beyond the pale and it was not called for.
And lastly, Mike Pence, former GOP conference chairman,
Would that be a solid pick? Is that a good overture to the House GOP?
Look,
against the VP?
I think there are a lot of good people that are being considered. It's no secret. I'm a big fan of Mike Pence's. We're very good friends. I have very high regard for him. I hope that he picks a good movement conservative. Clearly, Mike is one of those. But there are other good people that he's considering as well. And I, just like you, don't know what he's going to do, and I hope he makes a good pick. And clearly, that would be a good one. You bet. Thanks. Take care.